So we're going to make a video about professionalism. Well, I'm going to make a video about professionalism. Hopefully you're going to listen. Listen, I got this first generation iPad mini. It's a horrifically slow thing. But I wrote down some things about professionalism. And I'm going to go ahead and read it off so we can, hopefully make this video as short as possible. Professionalism, what is it? Really? I've taken a lot of criticism about my professionalism, or lack thereof, really. So let's start with the definition of professionalism. If we use the Merriam-Webster Dictionary's definition, professionalism is defined as the conduct, aims, or qualities that characterize or mark a professional or professional person. However, when you use etymology and you look up the word professional and where it came from, professional was a person who simply made a public declaration that they were highly skilled in a particular field. So somebody professional is somebody who says they are highly skilled in a particular field. Ism, the practice of the process by which you practice that profession. So professionalism is really the practice of your profession and how you go about it. Here's my problem though. There seems to be a general consensus that there's a universal code of conduct that marks a professional. There is not. Conduct that is acceptable in one profession may not be in another. And when it comes to the security field in particular, there may be generally accepted practices. But when you look up the word code, as in code of conduct, code is defined as a system of principles and rules. And principles and rules can change from organization to organization. So there is no universal code of conduct. That conduct comes from the organization and how they want you to go about practicing this profession. Now, a lot of security companies are started by former law enforcement who brought their code of conduct with them to the security companies. So it's become generally accepted practice that this is maybe the way that you should do it. But see now, I want to say by definition in a lot of places, law enforcement officers are also defined as peace officers, as in keeping the peace, which may be different from securing something, where your duty is to make this place safe, to secure is to make this place safe. Now, a lot of security companies don't actually go by that. If you've ever seen the commercial where a bank is being robbed and you got armed security there, and the people are cowering on the ground while this place is being robbed, and the armed security person says, "I'm not a security guard, I'm a security monitor." A lot of security companies practice that way. That has a lot to do with liability, and I don't want the liability. I don't want my insurance premiums to increase. It might price me out of the market, and I can't make a buck, and I went into business to make money. So there's the business of security and the practice of security that's affected by the business of security. So there's those things. So there is no universal code of conduct. There is no universal principles, just generally accepted practices. So now it begs the question, what are the marks of a security professional? Well, a security professional is aware of their surroundings. A security professional should know something about criminal law, that state that they're in. They should know something about tort law. They should know something about de-escalation, which is one of my weak points. And I've said this plenty of times. Although there is a class being taught at Wayne State University in the city of Detroit, specifically on de-escalation. A security professional, especially an armed security professional, knows how to manipulate, and use their weapons highly proficiently. When to deploy those weapons, that goes back to criminal law and tort law. A professional, kind of follows their post orders or their contract, if they know the contract, which they probably don't. But they stay within post orders. I did say they were aware of their surroundings. And they know how to investigate a little bit. I would say a security professional knows how to investigate. You don't necessarily have to profile people, although some people profile people, and something I don't like to do. And just because you're a highly skilled person doesn't mean that you're a highly skilled person in every environment. You're a highly skilled professional in every environment. And I tell people this: I'm not a highly skilled professional in every environment. I'm not. I've been on interviews and I tell people I grew up in difficult demographic security. Apartment complexes, mostly, and then retail. And so I'm highly skilled in how to deal with difficult demographics. Whereas people don't get shot and killed, beat up, tasered, murdered, and well, murdered, I don't know about murdered. I mean, yeah. They don't get shot, they don't get tasered, they don't get beat up. That I'm effective at keeping the place secure, safe, because that's what security is. Now, I worked for a security company that was ran by a former DeKalb County police officer in the state of Georgia, and they hadn't been in security that long, maybe a year or two, I think, maybe longer. But one of the things that owner said was when he first started security, he had to learn that there was a difference between security and policing, that there's different goals. And it took him a while to learn it. And I think I was having problems with the security company, but like most security companies that I work for, they find me highly knowledgeable. That's another mark of a professional. They're highly knowledgeable about what I was doing and how I went about, practicing my profession. Now, once again, de-escalation is not my strong point. And then there's certain places you can't put me in. You cannot put me as a concierge / security professional in a high income area. Why? Because there's some condescension from some people coming down is that you're just simply this. And they can speak to you and treat you any old way, and you'd have to start to pay me $25 an hour to do that. You can't pay me $10 and $12 and $13 and $14 an hour, $15 an hour. I'm not going to eat a whole at those pay rates. I'm not eating shit like that, because you're not really even paying me a living wage as far as I'm concerned. It's not one of my strong suits. Diplomacy, I can be diplomatic, but it's not really one of my strong suits. And if you catch me on the wrong day, I won't be all that diplomatic. With that said, when we talk about the Metro Mall and people saying that you're not a professional and you're cussing people out and you're pushing people and this and that and the other, well, as a highly skilled professional and as a knowledgeable person, because highly skilled people are knowledgeable, 163-24 and 163-24.2. So Georgia codes, you can look those up if you want to. And even in the state of Michigan, where you have shopkeeper's privilege, but it's not explicitly, there's no explicit statute. You have to go to case law, federal case law coming out of this district about shopkeeper's privilege and what the judge had to say about it. Once again, highly skilled professional. A highly skilled professional knows those things. So when people call me a security guard, even though Michigan defines me as a security guard and even Georgia may define me as a security guard, I'm more like a security officer. And really, I don't even like that because, people think security can't do anything. It all depends on the contract, who you're working for, the laws of that state, the policies of that security company, and how you go about it, once again, code of conduct. What's the policy? What's the policy on code of conduct for that particular organization and how they want you to go about practicing your profession? And then if you don't follow that policy, that code of conduct, then they can say something about your lack of professionalism because you're not practicing. You don't have the code of conduct that we want. So once again, to reiterate, a professional is a person who makes a public declaration that they are highly skilled in this particular profession, and ism is the way that you go about practicing that profession. And being kind and courteous and polite is not a necessary component of that. It's just a generally accepted practice. And it's highly preferred, although it may not always, in my opinion, be effective. Because the first mark of a professional, in my book, is a person who is effective that can get the job done. And there is no doubt that at the Metro Mall, I could get the job done. Now, I didn't want to put people in jail. I didn't want to put people in prison. I basically wanted them to go away. We could have all kinds of debates about me going outside the mall and doing things, but that's a disagreement on how I choose to secure the place and what I think it takes to secure the place. That's a different argument on how I think I should secure the place. But, we're talking about, basically people are gigging me, criticizing me on my conduct. And to that I say I tailor my conduct to the place that I'm in. I'll start with the soft approach. I go to the medium approach. I go to the hard approach. And after that, if I go to the specific language approach and I really become stiff, and when I was casual and just kind of kicking it to you like, yo, nigga, don't do this, and nigga, get the fuck out the doorway, and that language was kind of casual, and now it's become dare I say more professional. I don't like that because it's not necessarily true. That it becomes more rigid. That my language becomes more rigid, not casual. Here's the language I'm looking for. When my language becomes more formalized. What I'm doing is establishing your intent, and I'm setting you up for failure. I'm doing a whole lot of things that you don't know. And I was really just trying to move you out the way when I was casual with my language, when I was a little belligerent with my language in those environments, kicking it to you, speaking to you in terms that you could readily and easily understand and accept, the language that's being spoken in the street in the environment that I'm in. Is that not a mark of a professional? Once again, I didn't have any code of conduct at the Metro Mall, so no one was telling me how to practice my profession. And then on April 10th, 2012, I stopped being a security officer and I became the on-site mall manager. That's the contract that I signed. A lot of my job may have been securing the facility, but my title was mall management, and I had other duties that I performed and really other duties that I should have performed, but I didn't have time to perform because I was too busy trying to secure the facility. So, and those are some other things, and then there's some things going on with APD at the time, and them telling me what I could and could not do as security, that you had to be mall management to do, that you had to be a manager to do. So we also got around those, we also got around those restrictions from interacting with law enforcement. So when you tell me that I'm not professional, that's why I kind of have a problem with it, because there's other videos up there where, I'm kind of calm, I'm kind of polite, I'm courteous, I'm reasonable, which is another mark of a professional in the security profession, that you're reasonable, and that that I got the job done, which is the first mark of a professional. A professional gets the job done. They're effective. If you're kind and polite and courteous and you're not effective, then how good of a professional are you? If you're a little bit rowdy and rude, but you accomplish the goal, you keep the place secure, are you not a professional? Okay, so I don't think there's anything else that I have to say about professionalism, although I will tell you that my time at the Metro Mall, I operated as a security professional. I operated as a public safety professional. Sometimes I operated, well, hold on, I want to say professional. I operated as a security professional. I sometimes went over into law enforcement. I sometimes went over into public safety. Yeah, I sometimes went over into law enforcement, and sometimes I went over into public safety. When I put on that uniform, when I put on that gear, there's things that I do, and I, as much liability as I want to take on, and people say, well, you want to be a cop, and because you're doing things that only law enforcement should do, and sometimes you should do some things to help secure the facility that are typically reserved for law enforcement, but as long as state law gives you the ability to do those things, then you could do those things. And mostly what I did was investigate and share information with local law enforcement on a level that most people wouldn't agree was my job to do. And then I would do other things that most people thought that was reserved for law enforcement that I thought would help secure the facility. But that's a different argument altogether. So I say that I'm a professional. I say that I'm highly skilled in what I do in a particular area. Difficult demographics is what I do. I do them very well. But I could use help on my de-escalation technique. But in my defense also, I didn't have time at the Metro Mall to deal with people on a long-term basis. I don't have 15 minutes to stand there and talk to you. Something could be happening someplace else in the mall, or outside on the street that I need to view and witness that may spill into the mall, that may affect the mall security. And with that said, I'm kind of done with this part of the video. Now, the second part of the video is, listen, if you like my videos, please hit the like button. If you watch my videos and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And please share, my videos on various other platforms. Put links to them on various other platforms that you may have, like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you're in Facebook groups, go ahead and share it on those Facebook groups. And I guess one last thing, the Mini's down. It suffered catastrophic engine failure. The Mini needs a heart transplant again. You could PayPal me $1. You could PayPal me $2. If you enjoy these videos for whatever reason you enjoy them, even if you hate me to death, you watch my videos. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. Yes, send me $1 anyway. And I'm not begging. Oh, you up here begging for money? No, what I'm doing is I'm asking. Listen, you enjoy the videos and you hate me, but you still enjoy the videos. Go ahead and send me $1. pickupdropoff@gmail.com. Right? You don't have to. I don't know how you do send $1 if you're not registered with PayPal, but I know there's a way that you can do it. I'll put the email address in the description box. But you know, the mini's down. And a mark of this security professional, even though I'm not walking, is that the mini works. The mini works, and the mini's not working, and the mini is kind of critical to the way I go about doing you know, my job, you know, at times. So that's the end of the video. Thank you for your time, and